Coming from Hawaii
Yeah.
and being of Hawaiian ancestry, Chinese ancestry, when you went to the mainland, did you find it a little tough kind of fitting in up there, or did you even think about it?
It never occurred to me. I didn't realize that people didn't know, that didn't like other people because of race until a certain point in my life, which was maybe within the first year of my being in California, in Oakland, California, which was at that time very lily white. In fact, when they, in the newspapers for the district that we lived in, it was okay to write Caucasian only, because there was no laws against things like that. This is back in the 40s, yeah, in the 50s. It was okay to say Caucasian only. Well, I didn't know that somebody would dislike me because I was brown.
Yeah.
And when I found that out, it was very hurtful. But it didn't hurt long. You know what it did for me? It was a spur behind me. It says, you're going to be very sorry. It happened with my girlfriend's father, a girl that I had known for a while. And we had talked about getting married, the whole thing, you know how kids do. And by getting married, the father told us, well, you know, your children will be brown. Told the girl that. And when it got back to me, I didn't understand that at all. And it really hurt me because they were very strongly religious, and they you know, hugged me and engaged
Sure.
me. And what it did for me was that it hurt me at the beginning, and then after that, I said, you know what? One of these days, I'm going to be somebody. I'm going to be something. And you're going to be very sorry that you're not my friend. That was the thought that drove me. You're going to be sorry that you're not my friend. Well, let me jump years later, when I became successful in San Francisco and Las Vegas and other things, or in Hawaii. And the same people came up, and they were really friendly, and they said, Jimmy, and all that. You know what? All those thoughts of revenge,
Sure.
or whatever didn't even exist. I hugged them,
Yeah.
and all that, because
They didn't really. I mean, they
didn't know,
up in their own.
and it wasn't important to me either.
Interesting.
You know,
Nice.
but I used it. I used that
Yeah.
as an impetus, as my trust.
Yeah, you know, growing up in Hawaii, it really does sort of disarm ourselves
Sure.
with other races, because you know, we live amongst
Sure.
a myriad of peoples here in these islands, right? So when we leave Hawaii, we don't even think twice about embracing someone of color or whatever.
If I had my way, I would send every high school kid in their sophomore and junior year as an exchange student
Yeah.
to Upper America, and then come back home, and then they've realized that there's nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah.
You know, that you can intermingle and all that. There's not a problem.
And you know, one of the great stories is that Frank Sinatra took in Sammy Davis Jr.
Sure did.
Because Sammy used to go in the back way, I hear.
I was there in those years.
Tell me about that.
I was there. I was at I was the star of a show called Holiday in Japan, and I replaced a guy named James Shigeta, who was in it. He went to do a
Sure.
movie. In the lounge where I was working was people like the Treniers, Billy Eckstein, Carmen McRae, all these great jazz artists. They had to come in the back, and they couldn't go into the restaurants. I could. I couldn't understand why, but they allowed the Japanese girls and all. Well, the girls are gorgeous, you know, and I happened to be just a part of it. I didn't matter as far as they were concerned from a racial thing. But black, if you were black, Lena Horne, Sammy Davis Jr., Nat King Cole, they couldn't. Frank Sinatra was the one. He said, I don't come in. I don't work at the Sands unless Sammy and Lena and Nat can come in with me.
You mean
Frank
walk to the
Sinatra,
front door?
come in the front door and eat in the dining room with everybody else.
Wow.
Frank was one of that. If he never did anything else at all, I mean, you know, they say a lot of things about that man. He not only was the greatest singer of that era, but he was a social arbiter. He made people sit up and listen because he had the power.
Yeah.
And he was that way.
Yeah.
He was very fair.
Fantastic. Sinatra, he was the king, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
I mean,
He was the most important singer, the most important male singer of the 20th century. I think the female singer would probably be somewhere between Judy Garland and Barbra Streisand.
Now, when you met Sinatra, he was on his way. I mean, he was
already the
almost
king.
his second time through already.
Yeah, he had already gone through his
He
paces
peaked in
with
the 40s and boom, and came back. Now it's almost his second life coming around in Vegas, isn't it?
in Las Vegas. At the time I was there, 59, 60, 61, was when the Rat Pack was just forming.
Rat Pack.
I opened up in Las Vegas. Shirley MacLaine saw me in San Francisco, and her husband was Steve Parker, who was a producer of the show that I was in, and they got me from San Francisco to go to the New Frontier Hotel to be the star of that particular show. My opening night in front was Peter Lawford, Shirley MacLaine, Sammy Davis Jr., Joey Bishop, Frank Sinatra, and all the rest of them sitting over there. You know, my lips. I was so dry, my lips were stuck to my teeth.
Yeah.
I had like this. And Nat King Cole was there too. And Nat King Cole.
So when those guys ran around in Vegas, I mean, did you hang with them?
We didn't hang. No, they were in a different league. But because Las Vegas at that time was really a town.
Yeah.
It was only like 80,000 people in Las Vegas at that time. Now it's 100. It's 1,000,004. Something. So it's a big difference.
Yeah.
Sammy Davis, I got a chance to talk with him, or he talked to me after he heard me sing, and he was the one that told me, he says, to hang back, lay back on your phrasing, stuff like that. He would tell me that. And Frank,
what do you mean by that? Give me an example of something. Hanging back on your phrasing.
let's say "Fly Me to the Moon." On the beat is "Fly me to the moon." That's on the beat. And if you're singing behind it, "Fly me to the moon," so you catch up at the end. You hang the first part and then you catch up with the other part. So it's a phrasing trick, and it's a nice way to tell the story. And that's the other thing that what Mr. Sinatra told me was, tell the story.
Tell the story.
Tell the story. Yeah. And that was my first instance of pay attention. Tell the story.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that was huge.
Yeah.
I'm sure that did that click all of a sudden?
No, not all of a sudden. I was still thinking Mel Torme a lot of ways, but I still was thinking pretty. I still wanted to think pretty tunes, pretty sounds, you know, bel canto, pretty. And then I had to realize that telling the story wasn't always pretty. So you didn't have to think pretty. Just think story. Mm-hmm. And then whatever comes out, comes out.